Hello and welcome back to the ever-changing world of Manor Lords. In this video, we're going to take a brief look at some of the biggest changes from the latest beta update. And yes, this is another new beta update which is unique to the recent one that dropped in October. But once again, there is a very extensive list of changes which will impact several gameplay aspects much more significantly than anticipated. If you haven't checked it out yet, I've linked the update article in the description, which also includes the patch notes. First off, a chunk of these updates do revolve around bug fixes and UI improvements, which is obviously great. For example, the clothing category has been revamped so that it makes more sense. And we should no longer run into the issue with increased consumption rates of clothing from level 2 and 3 housing, so progressing our towns is feasible yet again in this regard. The production reserve options have also been restored to the butcher shops so we can control the slaughtering rate of sheep again. But the most significant changes here are the balance adjustments. For example, there's some adjustments to the production rates of orchards, vegetables, and livestock from backyard housing extensions. Goats will also now produce milk as well, which is a new resource. So some of the priorities here for food production might end up being a little different than before, which will require some testing. Now these changes are already pretty significant. But I think more than anything, this is just to increase the accuracy of production between the different tiers of vegetables or fruit tree options so that the yields from each one actually reflects the difference in cost. So I think now the orchards and veggie gardens will operate more as expected, which is fine. The kicker here with the balance changes is the updated trade values. Unfortunately, they did not really do a good job of listing this information accurately in the patch notes, as they only mention a change of trade value for salt and crossbows. I was really hoping that they'd be taking the improved communication aspect more seriously moving forward, but I suppose that this is better than nothing, and hopefully still it's another step in the right direction. So we can clearly see here that the trade values for many items have been adjusted significantly. For example, we can see that our fan favorite item charcoal here has been reduced to only a value of 1 regional wealth per export. And both yarn and small shields have been reduced to 2 regional wealth per export. For perspective, charcoal previously had an export value of 3, yarn at 4, and small shields at 8. And that's just to name a few of the main adjustments here. These are obviously very drastic changes, way more than I think any of us anticipated since they had not indicated any intention of these sort of adjustments. There is a very small upside here, which is that the export value buffs from the Woodwright Journeyman and the Smiths of Passau perks have been increased from 20% to 30%. But overall, trade has been impacted heavily, and this of course means that the priorities for economy setup and max profits will be different moving forward as well. If anyone has any feedback or input on this, feel free to toss that into the comments. But unfortunately, that means for now the information from my recent economy guide is pretty much completely irrelevant. And speaking of changes to information from my recent guides, there is also an adjustment here with bread production. As I showed in the bread production video, the bakery housing extension produces 4 bread per flour instead of 2 bread per flour from the communal oven. This is still accurate, however it only applies to wheat bread. Rye bread has been nerfed so that it only produces half of that amount. This is still very strong overall though, and you can still apply the same concepts that we reviewed in the bread guide. Just keep in mind that rye specifically just isn't quite as insanely powerful anymore. You'll find some more smaller adjustments as well, such as reducing the amount of treasury wealth that you gain from taking bandit camps, or reducing the cost of producing shoes from 2 leather down to 1 leather. And using the castle planner should no longer crash the game, and we should not see any more floating building pieces. So there is a bunch of good stuff like that, which obviously we can all appreciate. There's also a bunch of improvements to the AI and their capabilities. This includes improvements from their building placement priorities to fixing their ability to purchase and utilize major trade routes. So hopefully the AI will be a better representation of a legitimate opposing faction now. There are some great aspects which will improve the quality of gameplay here, but it also introduces some very drastic changes which will take some time and testing to get used to. Moving forward, I will probably be taking a step back from detailed and focused guides for Manor Lords. So many of the important details are clearly still in a fluid state of testing, which makes it unreasonable to deliver accurate information consistently. Once we get towards a more finalized state with a lot of these aspects, I will get back to those types of guides. But for now, I'll probably be focusing more on challenge runs or general tips and information. Sunday live streams will be returning as well, so we can experience all the new changes together. And as always, I'm happy to answer questions or engage in discussions in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you all soon in the next one. Peace.